Collaboration with local partners to make gas more accessible in all local communities. Whether you own a cylinder or not, join our CRM initiative. Simply show up at any exchange point near you with a small down payment to receive a filled cylinder or swap your empty one. Regular safety checks will be in place. Say ebisa mo say more gas. Afi die gas saba. Switch from firewood and charcoal to gas for a better and healthier life. This message is brought to you by the National Petroleum Authority and the Ministry of Energy.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Eyewitness News. Now let's go to the New Patriotic Party now. A statement has been issued by the General Secretary of that party, and the statement is titled Formal Notice of Disciplinary Action Against Honorable Sarah Adwoa Safo. I read portions of the statement, which says that following the directives issued to all members of the New Patriotic Party to cease discussions on matters that create disaffection within the party in the media, Honorable Sarah Adwoa Safo's comments in the media, particularly on the Pulse show of Joy News, are clear contravention of the directive issued to all MPP members. As she is aware, the directive explicitly states that all party members must cease discussing party issues that create unrest, negativism, and disaffection in the media and other related platforms. Her actions are not only in disregard of this directive, but also undermines the party's efforts to rebuild and move forward. As a former member of parliament, former deputy majority leader, and former minister of state under the Etwal MPP government, she was expected to set a good example and adhere to the principles of discipline, loyalty, and unity that have always defined our great party. Her failure to do so not only reflects poorly on her, but also in contravention of Article 3.5 of the party's constitution, which amongst other things enjoins us to promote and defend the good name of the party. In breach of the above provision of the party's constitution and the directives issued earlier, Honorable Adwoa Safo is hereby referred to the National Disciplinary Committee of the party for further action. This has been signed by the General Secretary, Justin Kodua Frimpong. Let's speak to Justin Kodua Frimpong's deputy, Haruna Mohammed, for more details on this. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. So has Adwoa Safo been formally invited to the disciplinary committee, or she's supposed to take this as notice of her invitation?
Thank you, Salom. I will say good afternoon to your cherished viewers, or good evening. This is a formal notice of disciplinary action, and this notice will be served onto the disciplinary committee of the party, headed by the former Roads Minister. The disciplinary committee is a body within the MPP as a corporate institution. They will then invite Honorable Adwoa Safo to appear before the committee with respect to the specific provisions that has been stated in the notice of disciplinary action by the General Secretary of the party.
I see. But won't these measures amount to gagging your party people? They can't speak freely now. Is that won't it amount to gagging them?
Salom, not at all. If you read the earlier directive that was given to all of us as party members, the General Secretary has asked that we should cease discussing on matters that create disaffection within the party in the media. And what he said is grounded in the constitution of the New Patriotic Party in Article 3.5, one of the New Patriotic Party's constitution: promote and defend the good name of the party, protect the unity of the party, be loyal and truthful to the party, and abide by and publicly uphold the decisions of the party. So these were not set in vacuum, but these were set relative to the provisions that we have all accepted and elected to accept to govern our conduct within the space of being members of the New Patriotic Party. So it is not at all that we are gagging people not to speak. The party on the 2nd of January 2025, through the National Council of our party, provided a platform for members of the party to appear and speak, state, and say or write or present any fact that we think that will be able to unearth the humiliating defeat that we got from the 2024 general election. So appropriate forums have been created for party members to vent some of these particular issues. Even before the statement came today, members of the party have been speaking, but leadership of the party, as the CEO, the chief executive of the party, the general secretary, as mandated in Article 1075 of the party's constitution, so directed that some of these things have to be nipped in the bud, and we need to control the narrative. So it is not at all to guard against free speech. It is to control the narrative and to refer members of the party to the specific provisions that guide us as members of the New Patriotic Party.
I see. I'm not sure which particular part of her comments riled the party up, to issue this notice. But it was an interview. I mean, it was a question and answer session, and so she answered questions she was asked. I'm not sure you're suggesting that she should not be truthful in the interview.
Well, if you listen to the interview, you would hear that she questioned the integrity of Professor Michael Quay's committee. Professor Michael Quay's committee is a National Council committee that was set up on the 2nd of January. She went ahead to say that the committee is bogus. We all know the meaning and definition of bogus. And the party's constitution in Article 354 says that abide by and publicly uphold the decision of the party. This is clear. It's written in the party's constitution. You don't come out publicly. And this is not just a mere member of the party. This is a former member of parliament for the party, former minister of state, former deputy minister of state, former deputy majority leader of the MPP in parliament. So this is a huge personality who have said or should be serving as a role model when such directives are given out. This is a person that also on the show questions the locus. When somebody says that, what is your locus? You know that the general secretary is the CEO of the party. And per the directive, when he was issuing, he pointed to Article 1075 of the Constitution. So the locus is enshrined in that particular provision that he has even quoted. So the description and the dismissal of a non-existing report and preempting the content of the report and pointing to the face of the National Council's committee is an affront to the National Council's decision.
So the committee, the committee is to do something.
That is why the General Secretary is not quick in making decisions, but made a referral per the constitutional provisions of our party to the disciplinary committee to do a further work and to engage so that the party will be appropriately reported to.
So I read comments actually, but I think a question was asked and about the committee's work, and I think she said that the committee's work should begin from Dome Kwabena. Why the seat held by the party was lost. Michael Quay his professor was in that constituency and is still there, and the son who was the candidate was there. So we need to start from there to understand why the seat was lost. Is this such a bad thing for someone to say, for which reason the person will be hauled to the disciplinary committee?
Salon, this is a committee that has been taxed. We gave them 3 months to work and report back to the National Council, to the General Secretary. The committee has not finished. They have January, February, March. Today is 20th or so. The committee has not even ended. Today, they were meeting the former President Kufuor, and they also met former members of parliament. The committee is still meeting. And in fact, the committee has not communicated or even put into writing of a sort of even a provisional or something called a report. So we ought to all have to restrain ourselves in the rebuilding process. We have to be very careful the commentaries that we make and the kind of frustration. We humbly ask that all party faithfuls remain calm so that cooler heads may prevail at this time. And that's how a leader should be speaking.
Very well. But how about context? So, for example, many people or some people have blamed Adjosafo for the seat. I mean, losing the seat, the MPP losing the seat in the Dome Kwabena constituency. She has a right to clear her name. That no, I held the seat for maybe 3 times or 2 times. When I left, that's when the seat was lost to the NDC for the first time in our history. That seat has gone to the NDC. That is huge. And if they are accusing her for not supporting the campaign in the constituency, she has a right to defend herself and to say 1 or 2 things. Won't this action of yours instill fear in your members? And would that be the way you want to start your rebuild exercise?
Salam, nobody, let me put it in this perspective, nobody is asking that Adjosafo should not defend himself. The Michael Quinn Committee has not written anything about Adjosafo. So on what basis would Adjosafo call the committee as bogus? Is it also a defense on attack on her person? Fellow, it is obviously not a response to an attack on her person. She has a right to defend herself at any material point in time, and nobody is going to fault her. But we are talking about principle and party directive and rules that the General Secretary has issued and what has happened within the space of less than 12 hours.
All right. Thanks so much, Haruna. Thanks so much for speaking to us on this. Is the Deputy General Secretary of the MPP speaking to us on a statement that the MPP General Secretary has issued, serving notice that Adjosafo will be or has been referred to the disciplinary committee over comments she has made, which comments contravene the party's constitution. So we've been speaking to him on that. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Your messages have been coming through. Prince Henry in Koforidia says the CID should invite Afenyomarkin to prove to them how he managed to know that the National Security Operative stole the former BOG governor's 10,000 cities. The state security should not allow Afenyomarkin to make such a vague statement against the state security. If an ordinary member can be invited for making such allegations, that Afenyomarkin should not or should be invited to do same. No one is above the law, you say. Carlos from Odeododio says, good evening. The minority leader should be arrested for misinforming the public because he himself is under scrutiny. If he doesn't know this, he should be told that they will come after him. When the minority leader is alleging that the national security stole money and jewelry from a house. If that's all they did, then they haven't done much. In fact, Carlos, you said you shouldn't be arrested. They should. Okay, all right. So Carlos, I think your point is well made. Clinton from Dome says Adjosafo has every right to clear her name. In fact, a lot of dirt was thrown at her both before and after the elections, and she believes this is the right time to speak her truth. Why is the NPP trying to silence her? Kusi Vance in Mankasim says, I dread for the generation unborn, considering the trajectory the nation is drifting into. Justifications being thrown out in respect of these Rambo-style raids are not justified. Are those supporting this act by the national security suggesting that the status quo be maintained? Why or where MPP comes back to power and does more than this in retaliation? You ask. Jones says, good evening, Salam. If you can't stand the heat or the truth, then why then did the MPP set up a committee to find out their heavy defeat? No wonder Ghanaians rejected you. Eno gives us some more stories.
The Ghana Journalists Association has commended the Ghana Police Service for arresting a suspect linked to the murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Swali. The suspect, Daniel Owusu-Kranting, appeared before the Medina District Court yesterday and was remanded into police custody until April 1, 2025. The GJA, which had warned of escalating the case to the ECOWAS court, stated it is in touch with senior police officials for updates on the prosecution process. Now, Inspector General of Police Christian Tete Yohonu has announced plans to lift the ban on police personnel engaging with the media, a restriction imposed by former IGP George Ekufu-Dampare. According to IGP Yohonu, combating rising crime requires public cooperation, and effective policing hinges on strong engagement between law enforcement and the community. Speaking at a workshop for public relations officers on Thursday, he stressed the need for transparency and assured that all regional PROs and police affairs officers would be reactivated and revamped to facilitate better interactions with both the public and the media.
I must also emphasize that this collaboration extends beyond crime fighting. It involves the development of robust interpersonal skills, requiring constant reassessment of our police public relations frameworks to adapt to changing circumstances. In times when the public demands greater involvement and accountability in our service delivery, a well-tested approach ensures police legitimacy and builds public confidence. This is where your significant role as public affairs officers in fostering positive interactions with the public becomes essential and directly impacts police effectiveness. Ladies and gentlemen, it is on this premise that the current police administration, under my leadership, will reactivate and invite all regional police public affairs offices to interact and meet the evolving demands of our society and media partners. Over the years, the media has been a key stakeholder in crime fighting efforts and has influenced public perceptions of our work in numerous ways. Therefore, it is imperative that our engagement with the media be intentional, professional, and instructive, strictly aligned with police directives, particularly Service Instructions Number 7 SI 7, which provides clearly the guidelines for this engagement. As police public affairs officers, we are responsible for managing the relationship between the service and the media, always guided by the core values and ethical standards of the Ghana Police Service.
Inspector General of Police Christian Tete Yohonu. The unionized workers of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation are demanding the immediate removal of Director General Professor Amin Al-Hassan, citing a loss of confidence in his leadership and concerns over financial mismanagement. The union is also calling for a forensic audit of GBC's finances under Professor Al-Hassan, including the management of internally generated funds, payments related to the 2022 FIFA World Cup and the 13th African Games, co-location rentals, and the sale or lease of GBC lands. Speaking on behalf of the union, Chairman Sam Nat Kevo noted that although the Director General's tenure ended on October 1, 2023, he remains in office.
Amin Al-Hassan is simply out of tune with the aspiration of both the workers and the corporation. Therefore, we humbly demand that his contract should not be extended. Meanwhile, the NMCs, in a response to us on the 11th December 2023, assured the union that a public announcement will be made if the process of appointment of the Director General of GBC is completed. The union staff are aware and mindful of the strategic importance of the state broadcaster to the national security and will not want to do anything to disturb the peace of the corporation as well as the country, and therefore ask that the Director General take leave immediately.
Amen.
We also demand an immediate investigation and forensic audits of the financial dealings at the GPC, full and adequate compensation for the technicians and production team that worked during the 13 African Games.
You heard Chairman of the Unionized Workers of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Sam Nat Kevo.
Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We'll take a short break. When we return, it will be time for Citi Business News. Don't go away.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Channel 1 TV is live on DSTV, GoTV, and HD+. On DSTV, find us on Channel 363. On GoTV, we're on Channel 117. And on HD+, get us on Channel 108. On a digital TV, run a new search. But take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Channel 1 TV. Channel 1 TV can be accessed on any free-to-air digital box, like the DSTV and HD+ boxes. Channel 1 TV, telling your story, empowering change.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Inu Safo. Let's settle for the details. The Bank of Ghana has clarified that MTN Ghana is not licensed for cross-border transactions with MTN Nigeria. It stated that Mobile Money Limited has no authorization for such services. Instead, the BOG has approved Bridge Fintech Ghana to pilot BridgeX, a B2B currency swap platform under its regulatory sandbox. BridgeX allows direct currency swaps between the Ghana Citi and Naira without forex transactions or fund transfers. It collaborates with banks and mobile money operators to enable seamless exchanges. The pilots, which began in February 2025 with MTN Momo customers, will soon expand to G-Money users. After the pilots, the BOG will assess BridgeX's viability for Ghana's financial framework. Now, the Blockchain Builders Association of Ghana has called on the government to increase investment in blockchain companies as a means of creating job opportunities for Ghanaian youth in the tech sector. According to the association, blockchain technology serves as a key driver for economic growth, financial transparency, and job creation. During a media engagement focused on empowering the youth through blockchain, the founder of the association, Eric Annan, emphasized the need for government action to harness technology for the benefit of the economy.
The world is evolving very fast with technology. Technology is something that we cannot run away from. And blockchain is one of the tools, one of the technological that is shaping the way economies are defined today in our world. And we believe that Ghana has a very strategic positioning and a very important role to play in the world. We have a new version of the internet called blockchain or Web3. It is read, write, and ownership. And we believe from the Blockchain Builders Association of Ghana, which is an association that has a simple mandate to start a conversation of advocacy. We are calling on policymakers from the executive, that is from the presidency, to the judiciary, to the legislature, that a country get a point where we need to have a direction.
Eric Annan is founder of Blockchain Builders Association of Ghana. Group CEO of GOIL, Edward Bauer, has stated that the company's new board will conduct a comprehensive assessment of its operations to propose fresh strategies aimed at enhancing its market position. Speaking at the company's extraordinary general meeting, he stressed the need for a strategic review to align the company's goals with evolving industry demands. Edward Bauer also noted that the board's recommendations would be action-driven, focusing on innovation, service delivery, and expansion into new business areas to enhance GOIL's competitive edge.
I've been within the buildings of GOIL, say 3 weeks thereabout. We've been doing some diagnosis of the state of the company. Yeah, we are seeing how the financials are. As a company and as a strategy, we want to first know what are the strengths of the company as it stands now, so that on the basis of that, we see strategies to build on that. We also want to see what the challenges are, and then on the basis of that, propose new strategies to really work on those things. Hopefully, the new board, in their first meeting that they will be holding, management will present the state of the company as it stands today and make some policy suggestions to them for approval. And hopefully when they approve those proposals, we will implement them. Because fundamentally, for every shareholder, there are two major things the shareholder is looking for: the appreciation of the share value on the stock exchange.
Group CEO of GOIL, Edward Bauer. The Acting Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Brigadier General Paul Seydou Tanye Kulonu, has assured both local and foreign industry players of the authority's commitment to reduce the cost of doing business at Ghana's ports. He stated the government's abolition of certain levies that had burdened importers and exporters, adding that the initiative will also follow the reviewing of some port tariffs. He gave the assurance during a visit by the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana to congratulate him on his appointment.
Our colleagues who operate through you to Burkina Faso, the Sahelian countries, they've also complained about certain taxes that makes the cost of our doing business here high. Talk about the COVID tax and then VAT on transit goods. And they also spoke about disinfection tax that are imposed on them. And according to them, this makes Togo, Abidjan and Lomé more attractive than here. And in addition, we don't speak the same language. They speak French and we speak English. So if in addition to the language barrier, they also have to pay more tariffs in order to do business here, it doesn't attract them. So I think the discussions are far in advance to see how these taxes could be reviewed and looked at. And I'm sure it should be done as early as possible.
That was the Acting Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Brigadier General Paul Seydou Tanye Kulonu. The Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, Samson Asaki Awingobit, urged the authority to address challenges such as high demurrage charges and overload of trucks from the port.
We also want to weigh more businesses from our landlord countries. I think we should also look at the weighing bridges, the kind of overload that they also load. Sometimes also cause deterioration onto our route. Meanwhile, you will ask yourself that where did these people load their cargo from? It's within the port enclave, and within the port enclave there are weighing bridges. What is the standard way they should be able to load? So that at least, in as much as we need businesses, our road sector to need a long lifespan. And so we do see what is happening on the carriages on our road sometimes lead to load more than the axle's capacity.
Samson Asaki Awingobit is the Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association. And that's all for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Ino Safo. Up next is Points Blank.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Oh, jump on now.
Go. Gugomi, at what time will you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I not change my car. It be the same ride. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Because now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind, Seth, be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium, they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open them.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, they make a finish Magobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand Magobe inside?
I give you info. Make a fill the gobe too small.
Go.
Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
Football's magic never fades, even from the couch. The sound of halftime banter. Replays at the touch of a button. Cheering with my chosen crew. Pure game magic. It's like I'm there, but with a better view from the comfort of my home. Priceless. From the March 3rd to April 30th, pay with your MasterCard, online or in-store, and stand a chance to win a unique priceless viewing experience of the UEFA Champions League final for you and your friends. MasterCard, proud supporter of non-stop fans. T's and C's apply.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Welcome back to Point Blank on Eyewitness News. Tonight on Point Blank, we bring you excerpts of the conversation that occurred yesterday at the event dubbed Achimota Speaks. The event discussed generally the issue about the free SHS, how it can be improved, and a number of proposals were made. We take you to the panel discussion moderated by Jifa Bampo, which has persons like is Ananan Kuman and Professor Stephen Adair on the panel, and a few others, to discuss a very important subject of free SHS. Let's listen.
So, a young man comes from rural Ghana, and he has benefactors who have decided to sponsor him for to study in Accra. So he's brought from somewhere in the central region. He comes to Accra, does extra classes. He isn't taken into his JHS, his preferred JHS. He goes back, does better, is taken by the private JHS. Eventually, he writes his WASI exam. Now, his school decides that they will not allow those in Form 2 to write the exam because they will spoil the results, as they say. They'll only let Form 3 students who have finished the syllabus write the exam so that they can get into their first choice schools, and then they will also be able to raise the standard of the school. What happens is the Form 2 parents decide that they will register their children in public schools so that they can have a shot at the BEC exam. And the Form 3s who have finished the syllabus write the exam under their school name. Guess what happens? I'm sure some of you can already guess. Those in Form 3, none of them get their first choice schools, even though they have finished the syllabus. And those in Form 2 who are just trying their hands at it and go to the public schools end up in their first choice schools. What does that tell us about the system? And how do you think this affects the heart of the young man who is now in Form 3? He doesn't get his first choice, but gets his second choice school. And all those he left behind in the village have got their first choice schools. They didn't have any extra classes. They weren't helped in any way. And it was COVID. So, they didn't study much, but they still got into their first choice schools. He worked hard. He stayed up at night. He wasn't allowed to rest. There were home teachers all the time. And yet, he doesn't make it. The free SHS reforms and how we are tinkering with education isn't just, it's breaking the morale of those who are working hard. I know a house help who is doing all she can to put her child into a good school. And so she sends all her money home so that her child can go to a private JHS. What happens to her? Similar. So the more we tinker with education and play with the results in the name of trying to make it accessible to those who do not have access, we actually cut some of them out. So the first thing I'll say is stop tinkering with the results. Let it be according to those who have done well. For those who have done well, they should have the opportunity to go to the schools they want to go to. And for those who need help, we should provide the help they need. It's not possible to send a child who doesn't have the foundations into a category A school to go and learn under teachers who don't have the specialized skills to raise children who don't have the foundations. What you actually do is you break their morale. They go into the classroom, they see all these kids who are doing well based on their merit, based on how well they actually can do, and they realize, I don't fit here.
So your concern is you want to see a merit-based system
I want to see
that rewards young people who've worked hard. The discrimination, if I want to be blunt, against what may seem to be private school kids is unfair.
Is unfair, and not just private school kids. And it's not just the private school kids. Even those who are in public schools, who are pushed into schools that they haven't worked hard for, get there and they know they don't fit. And they struggle. We don't make it any easier for them. So I think it's unfair for all the children that what we should do is provide an opportunity for those who are struggling to get the extra help they need so that they can be raised to the standard that we want them to have. We shouldn't simply award them the marks because we want them to be in a space. Yes.
All right. So keynotes, I knew that you're going to come in, so it's good for you to come in at this point. Mr. Adaibuahene.
Yes. Thank you very much. This seems to be a concern that many people have. You see, and I like the way you put it, that we should probably adopt a meritorious system of placement, which would, like we had before, when I came from a very remote village, like probably Prof. Atene said, you also, a very remote village. From one, I passed to Achimota School, and my dad didn't have money at the time. So second choice, second year, I decided to do another school. But the point is this, you see, all this comes back to the inefficient use of our educational resources. Because I have been to many, not 10, not 20, junior high schools. And for all the 10 subjects, there are only 2 teachers teaching. I'm telling you, I've been to a senior high school where the children sit on the floor. You see, so if already they
are disadvantaged from the start.
They are disadvantaged, and we also want to adopt a meritorious system. Then, effectively, what we have done is that we have built in a system that is not equitable. So for me, if we had the system such that every school has the minimum, because in this school we don't have the minimum standards that every school should have, so that we call it a school. Go to villages, you'll find a shed with 2 teachers and with maybe 15 children, and then they say it's a junior high school. That obviously is abusing the rights of those children. So for me, I would support that when we have pushed enough our government to ensure that we, as a collective, as a country, we have standards, minimum standards for a school. So that if you cannot set up the school, don't call it a school. Don't go and put some village market hats, and then children are sitting under, and then you say it's a school. Then they also write BEC. Then in that case, using the meritorious system might not probably be the way forward. And I would say that the excessive use of this of the placement system away from the managers of the school probably is one of the difficult decisions we need to take if we have to reform senior high school, because heads of schools are the ones who need to be in control of the numbers and who they think can be accommodated in the schools. But the current system, as we have, heads of schools are not involved in any way. You just sit somewhere in your school, and then the computer will start popping up names of people you do not know from Adam, and they come. I have been to a school just last year, this last admissions that they did. Sometimes I feel ashamed. We did an assessment, and with class 2 questions, class 4 questions, class 6 questions, I'm telling you, more than 40%. And the school is not a grade A school, but it's not a grade C school. More than 40% of the kids failed. So in other words, it falls partly into what we are discussing. But at the same time, it also means that somebody is not doing their job somewhere. And we have to address that.
So minimum standards for what a school should be, at least reform, looking in that, and then ensuring that the system allows the students to learn and do better. Let me come to Ace and Kuma, because the other debate that happened last year had to do with whether we should have legislation that embeds free senior high school so that no government would stop it. I guess now that we know that review is not cancellation, and the fact that we didn't necessarily need that law, we've all come to that point. But there is a pre-tertiary education legislation which says secondary education in all its different forms, including TVET, should be free and accessible to all eligible candidates. Are there any legal requirements that we must adhere to or introduce to ensure that the free SHS continues smoothly? I've heard people say there is no policy. I'm not exactly sure about that. What are your thoughts?
Well, free senior high school probably doesn't require legislation. It is a constitutional requirement with qualifications. Now, let me get as blunt as I get and get into trouble. Will we be having this conversation if the government provided enough money to build the schools and hire the teachers and feed the children? Would we be having this discussion at all? So are we just admitting that what we call free education or free senior high school was the government maybe increasing how much it gave to education and spreading it to cover everybody, so that now it is thin and it's affected the quality? Is that why we are sitting here? I mean, I don't want us to mask it under anything. Basically, the government gave money and the money is not enough. So they can hire more teachers, they can build more schools, they can feed the children, they can pay the teachers, they can clothe the children, and that's why we are here. Well, to when? So what do we consider as education fees? I think it's two broad categories: tuition and then non-tuition. All right. What people do not realize, and many of us went through school without realizing it, every Ghanaian child that goes to a public school has free tuition. It's a standard bursary. Everybody gets it. All right. And then when we get to the non-tuition, some got it first based on which part of Ghana they came from. So if you are from northern Ghana, you automatically got a free non-tuition bursary. If you got the CMB scholarship in the presumption that you were a ward of a cocoa farmer, and we know that, I may be wrong, but a greater percentage of those who benefited cannot identify a cocoa tree from a palm nut tree. Okay, am I speaking the truth? Yeah. And then some got government bursaries, and so that got taken care of. So the reality is that apart from these students from the south who got these, and the students in the north who got it blanketly, the people paying were those from the south who did not qualify for the CMB or government scholarship. Period. Because there, I know a lady who says that her mother changed, she was born up north. She had an English name and a non-northing name, an Akan name. And the mother was advised that change the names of your children, else they will not benefit from the free school in the north. So she changed the names of her children. So the name she bears now was not her name at birth. Free name. Now, so let's get real. So the Constitution provides for free education. The famous Article 25, which says that all persons shall have the right to, quote, equal educational opportunities and facilities, unquote. And it manifests in three ways: free education, compulsory for basic. Secondary has three qualifications. One, it should be generally available and accessible. So those of you who say that the rich must pay, watch it. It should be generally available and accessible. Two, it should be by every appropriate means. And three, especially by progressively introducing free education. Because this is for free education, I won't highlight too much on the parallel provision for tertiary education. So what did they mean by free? Was it just tuition? Didn't the framers of the Constitution know at the time they were writing the Constitution in 1992 that a lot of education was free, at least tuition was free? So in telling us that we should have free education, were they giving to us something we already had? That cannot be the case. So they clearly meant the non-tuition aspect of fees. And I think that, and so if we're supposed to, and it's supposed to be progressively, if it already existed. So I believe that the concept of free education goes beyond just tuition. But, and so progressively, I understand to mean steadily, in stages. Basically, obian fosoye. We're supposed to do it steadily and in stages. So one day we decided that we have achieved it. Are we able to say, you know what, we really haven't achieved it? And so would want to abandon the conclusion and get back to progressive. Now, I can see that it's immediately flashing red flags in your mind. That can you scale back? If it was supposed to be an aspiration, progressively, and you proclaim that you have attained the aspiration, are you able to reverse the aspiration to say, we said it, but we lied?
But Mr. Nkrumah, I remember last year when Mr. Kofi Asare was here, he said something instructive, that in many parts of the world, for secondary school, especially for boarding, nobody has it free. It's because we've chosen the most expensive path, which we cannot afford, which is why we find ourselves in this predicament. So we've done this for 80 years. It's only a person who hasn't made a mistake before that does not change their mind. We can always come back and make a decision on how we go.
I haven't concluded on what I even think about it. I'm just highlighting the issues, right? That are you able to reverse it? Let them say do whatever they do everywhere in the world. We lined up in 1992 and voted into effect a constitution for ourselves, which says that we will do this progressively. It is binding on you and it is binding on me. And as we go on, I will refer to two cases that went to the Supreme Court on the right of education. I had the privilege of being the lawyer in one of them. and see the thinking of the Supreme Court, that we cannot really divorce what we are doing from the legal perspective. In fact, my recommendation will be, and if I get a chance to speak again, that when the structure of the reforms have been put down, the ministry should submit it to the Attorney General's Department for an opinion. Because we may do all of this, and it might go to the Supreme Court, and it will be struck out. And you know what? We don't care what they do anywhere in the world. Here, this is what our Constitution says. And the Constitution, in fact, the last in 2011, the Supreme Court said that it is not applying the Universal Declaration on Human Rights provisions on free education. We have our own, and we must look at our circumstances. So I've talked too much, but there's more to do. But also, let me quickly say that the Article 25 that I just read to you is also read with Article 38, which the Supreme Court has held qualifies even the qualifications we have. Because there, when it talks about education, it contains two critical riders. It says, to the greatest extent feasible. So there's a feasibility thing, which I link with what you are saying, that is what we are doing feasible. The second one, it says, subject to the availability of resources, quote and unquote. So the right to free education under Article 25 is, with all its nuances, is further qualified by these two key phrases: to the greatest extent feasible, 1. 2, subject to the availability of resources. This is what probably should get us to pause and think that did we really achieve it? Because the resources we have are the resources able to cover and give the quality of education required. These are some of the things that we need to do. But I've talked too much. I'll wait. Then when I get the chance, I'll get into more of it later.
But thank you. I think I like the bit about if we do come to a set position, we should share it with the Attorney General so that we know we're on the right path. Professor Stephen Adair, sometimes I find it difficult to describe you: statesman, international civil servant, educationist, former rector. It goes on and on and on. What are your thoughts about what are the low-hanging fruits for reform that we could do quickly? It's been suggested that, for instance, we come up with innovative school management practices. We should look at how we pay going forward. What are your thoughts on the look ahead?
Ten years ago, after 1 month, I went there to visit them. Now they have about 842 students, so it's big by the old standards. All the children were very quiet. I said, hey, this is unusual for a school. Wherever I went, everybody in the 3 classes were quiet. So it occurred to me that actually the students didn't understand anything that was being taught them. So I called the teachers and I said, something serious is happening. Because good students will be quiet, but it's for everybody to be quiet like this. Please stop it. They can't understand anything you are teaching following your syllabus. So I said, and this didn't come from any textbook. I said that the first term, I want you to do only 3 things. Computing, and we have, fortunately, the first thing we did was to have a Wi-Fi satellite there, so they have access to computer like any school. You will get it, even in America, the same. So let them play with that so that they come up to Achimota standards. The second is that you are going to spend 1 term on only 2 subjects, mathematics and English. Number 3, you are starting from class 1. And then they say that, of course, they wouldn't use the word, but from their face, you must be crazy, Prof. Class 1 in secondary school from 1. I says, please, I beg you. If you take class 1 and 3 days, they finish it, you know that they have finished class 1. And you go to class 2, class 3, because when there's a gap, especially in mathematics, if you don't know how to add, you don't know how to multiply. You can't. after one term, doing this alone, when I went going by, I knew that a change had come. They were laughing. They were asking questions. They were doing the normal things students do in a class.
That's Professor Stephen Adai concluding tonight's edition of Point Blank on Eyewitness News. It was a panel discussion from the Achimota Speaks program, which discussed the free education policy, amongst other things. Had guests like Ace and Kuma, and of course Professor Stephen Adai and a few others. That's how we end the show today. Show produced by Sami Weafi, Nana Kwabena Welsing, Beverly in London, Manuel Yama, Juliana Odame Asari. The technical assistance provided by Daniel Squashi. Earlier you heard Eno Safu. My name is Selom Adunu. Up next is Heritage Series. Don't go away. Have a good evening.
Citi News. Citi News. We speak first. Reach our hotline on 0302 224959 and get interactive on Facebook, Citi 97.3 FM, and on Twitter at Citi 973.
Citi 97.3 Accra.
My brain is I'm overdose with music. Super scary. Hi. Shatawale, I come like a kite. Hi. Shatawale, come like a kite. Hi. Me come to them like some kite. Hi. Shatawale, come like a kite. Forever and ever, I'll be a soldier. Forever and ever, I'll be your leader. Forever and ever, I'll be your teacher.